Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Monday Night Raw was not its usual shit show self. They did some things that were pretty interesting and was not as bad as we are used to getting on a Monday night, but while they were mildly entertaining, they still simultaneously got a whole bunch of shit wrong. And we are going to talk about all of it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Monday Night Raw review right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, I have to be honest with you guys, man. Monday Night Raw is coming around. It's coming around just a little bit. It's not the greatest wrestling show in the world, but it's certainly a far cry from what we were getting in 2018 and all through 2019. They're putting some of the proper pieces in the right spaces, and we are getting some very good wrestling on the show, which we can never say anything bad about. We watched the show for good wrestling, and we had a very interesting six-man elimination tag match, which was booked very well. We had a surprise debut of Hector Garza and a match between Angel Garza, and a match between Angel Garza and Rey Mysterio, which came out of nowhere, which I'm very appreciative of these types of things. But this is the same episode of Monday Night Raw that seen Charlotte Flair come out to announce who she was going to challenge, being that she won the Royal Rumble this year, and had that challenge interrupted by the person she was subsequently going to surprise us with as a challenge. I mean, last time I checked, the Royal Rumble winner is the one that makes the challenge. The champion don't come out and be like, okay, well, you won the Royal Rumble, why not come fight me? That's not how it works. And then also, Charlotte Flair comes out to do this and shits on both WWE Women's Champions. She just came out there, she spread her legs, spread her cheeks apart, and took a big fat dump right on Becky Lynch and right on Bayley. Like, I don't need that shit. I wrestled these two girls before, I beat their asses already, and I've held those belts a bunch of times. They're not important anymore. They don't mean anything to me. I don't need to be the Raw Women's Champion. That's a piece of shit title. And I mean, hey, she might be right. Those championships don't really amount to a hill of beans lately. But come on, this was such an easy thing to do. You have Charlotte come out, she challenges Rhea Ripley, everybody's like, oh! And then you have Rhea Ripley make her response on her show, and you can have Charlotte show up and do all of these things that are still pretty much unnecessary to do, because while we talked about it last week, and we said this was something that may be a possibility for them to do with Charlotte going forward into WrestleMania, because both of those matches, Charlotte versus Becky and Charlotte versus Bayley, are both very boring to anybody. I thought maybe they would go this route, and they are definitely going down this route, but my God, man, NXT TakeOver Portland is just a couple of weeks away. And you have, pretty much with this move, also took a shit on Bianca Belair, which is very unacceptable. How can you have Rhea Ripley looking past her immediate future opponent, which is going to happen in just a couple of weeks, which is why the whole Rhea Ripley making the challenge makes it even worse. She's got a full deck on her plate already. She should be eyes forward on Bianca Belair, but no, she's going to say, screw this, I don't care about that. I'm going to go challenge Charlotte Flair. I'm going to make Charlotte Flair pick me for WrestleMania. And then isn't there an NXT TakeOver WrestleMania weekend that she's going to have to get through as the NXT Women's Champion if she gets through Bianca Belair in the first place? My God, man, the logic gaps here are just incredible. The way it disrespects Bianca Belair and both Women's Champions in one fell swoop, just by trying to make a splash, just by trying to do something cool and trying to pop the rating in NXT by having Charlotte Flair show up. You could have picked a whole lot of other women to show up in NXT to pop the rating. You could have Asuka go back to NXT. Asuka and Kairi showing up at NXT. That would pop the rating because people loved Asuka and Kairi when they were in NXT. You could have Sasha Banks return to NXT. That would get everybody interested. Even Bayley returning as the champion to show up and challenge Rhea Ripley would be much more interesting than Charlotte Flair and the continued WWE Charlotte Flair agenda. To just now have her go to WrestleMania and beat Rhea Ripley to add the NXT Championship to her long list of championship accomplishments. It's the one belt she doesn't have. It's the one belt she hasn't held. And they're going to right that wrong at the expense of Rhea Ripley? I don't like the direction in which this is headed. The more we think about it, the less it makes sense, and I don't really like it. NXT and their championship should be on an island of its own where it belongs, not mixed up with the Queen. The Queen of bad promos. The Queen of not knowing how to speak. The Queen of not knowing how to hold her face when she's in the ring. Because she can't control it anymore, it's so plastic. Awful. Just awful decision making. You want to talk about more awful decision making? What was that main event? Triple threat for an opportunity at Brock Lesnar at the upcoming Super Showdown for the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins. Makes sense that you'd put him in there. Bobby Lashley? He hasn't even been on WWE TV in the last 2 to 3 weeks since the Royal Rumble. Why is he getting a championship opportunity? For that matter, why is Ricochet getting a championship opportunity? Because he helped Drew McIntyre eliminate Brock Lesnar? And now we have to have this meaningless matchup at Super Showdown, which threatens a fantastic WrestleMania main event like Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. And then to make matters worse, I immediately assumed that we were going to watch this matchup, that Kevin Owens or Samoa Joe or somebody was going to get involved and cost Seth Rollins his involvement in this matchup somehow. And we would have Bobby Lashley, the Walker Milk Dud, beat Ricochet and go on to Super Showdown to fight the Beast Brock Lesnar. Now, while this is not something that I really want to see, it definitely was the option that probably made the most sense going forward. Physically speaking, it's an intimidating matchup. It's a great pairing between two guys that have former MMA experience, and maybe they could make a match of it. It's only the Super Showdown. Who gives a shit if Bobby Lashley gets a meaningless championship matchup? But they did the reverse, and they gave this to Ricochet. Ricochet. Now, I love Ricochet. I think he's great, but I think how the WWE has used him has made him not seem like a championship contender to me in any way. He's done nothing but lose for the majority of his tenure on Monday Night Raw, and the matchup just doesn't speak to me. It's not like watching Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles. So don't compare it to that. It's not like Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan or anything like that. Ricochet was on 205 Live, right? Or he was considered a high flyer or cruiserweight. This is not a guy that you can believe would beat Brock Lesnar. And let's say, just for argument's sake, they decide to have Ricochet beat the Beast in Saudi Arabia. And then we're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet for the championship at WrestleMania. Is that really what they want us to believe is a possibility in the future? I don't believe that to be the case. I certainly don't believe that to be the case. But this was a terrible way to book this and giving us a matchup in the end that I have no interest in. And there's no reason to believe in Ricochet right now. Unless you're an idiot and you don't realize that WrestleMania is fully in clear view ahead of us. And you think they're going to take Brock Lesnar out of the main event of WrestleMania for Ricochet? Just look at how they've used him and you tell me that you really believe that. Because that is not going to happen. Not really as interesting as it might have been when they put it down on paper. Just like the same can be said for the return of Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott returned tonight, and this was god-awful. I love Ruby Riott as well. I am happy to see her back. The women's division needs Ruby Riott. What they don't need is to be booking angles so quickly and burning things out immediately from the get-go. And what I mean by that is, in case you didn't see the show, Ruby Riott returned after Lana was squashed by Liv Morgan once again in about 2 minutes flat, which is fine. I have no problem with that because Lana sucks, she can't wrestle, and she shouldn't be having anything more than 2-minute matchups if they are going to force her down my throat to begin with. So Liv Morgan defeats Lana, and then Ruby Riott comes out. They're going to make you believe that they're going to hug and be friends, right? But Ruby Riott turns on Liv Morgan, beats her down, leaves her laying, leaves her crying, and then walks off. Thankfully, this wasn't like a I'm in cahoots with Lana type thing, but then Lana would take advantage of the situation and then attack Liv Morgan following everything. And that's it. So now Ruby Riott's back. She came to help her friend, but immediately turned on her. This happening just 1 week after we seen this happen with Randy Orton and Edge does not have the same feel to it, and they're stupid, because the way they should have done this was you have Ruby come back tonight to help Liv Morgan. You do realize WrestleMania is right around the corner. What a great way to set up a nice little undercard matchup and a push for the two women if you do this. Ruby comes back tonight. Maybe you have Lana attack Liv before the match so the match never gets going and we don't have to see this piece of trash matchup and we don't have to hurt our eyes watching this. You have Lana attack Liv as she's on her way to the ring, and then Ruby Riott comes out and makes the save. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, Ruby Riott has got Lana, keep mixing them up, has got Liv's back as she keeps battling Lana. Maybe Lana gets a little new friend too, whoever you want to throw in there. Give Tamina something to do. Who cares? We don't want to see it anyway. But at the very least, Ruby Riott and Liv will be getting put over along the way. In which case, by the time we hit the Elimination Chamber for some reason, then Ruby Riott turns on Liv Morgan, and now you have Ruby versus Liv at WrestleMania, and people will give a shit. Right now, what do we care? Liv Morgan just came back. She was a lesbian. Now I guess she's not. They don't want to talk about that anymore. They threw that shit at us and then pulled it right back like a giant tuna off the wicked tuna. Whoa, pull that big shit back on deck. We don't want that swimming out there anymore. Oh, Lana used to go down on me, and me and Liv used to scissor, and now we're going to fight each other and never talk about it. What are we watching? What kind of bullshit is it? This is not the first time they've done this. But come on, you throw a big bombshell out there like that, and you want to keep them involved, keep them wrestling, and keep them having matches, but you don't want to divulge into the relationship. When did it happen? Why did it happen? Is that why Ruby Riott attacked? Maybe Ruby knew about it all along, and she was keeping the secret for Liv, and we don't know any of this because they are not creative enough to come up with anything. It's a frustrating show, even when it's not that bad. So those were pretty much the big talking points out of tonight. But the best part of tonight, by far, for me, was Randy Orton. Randy Orton kicked off this show, and he kicked it off red hot. This guy has got nuclear heat coming off of the incident with Edge last week, and he played it like a master manipulator absolutely would. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. He took his sweet time soaking in all of the rage, soaking in the hate, even having the balls to go up to the second turnbuckle to hit his signature pose, which I really, really wanted him to do, but he didn't. He didn't go full on Randy Orton. He just stood up on the second turnbuckle, just kind of soaked in all of the hate around him, and then attempted to tell us why he did what he did. He tried to say the sentence, a couple of times. He tried to start getting it out there. But every time he began to speak, he immediately stopped himself. The crowd again would rain down with the boos and the hate and the jeers. And then Randy Orton finally said, you know what, I can't do this, dropped the mic, and then walked off. And this was absolutely brilliant. This was vintage Randy Orton at his best. Nobody could make you hate him so much with saying absolutely nothing like a Randy Orton can. This was very well done. And he doesn't have to explain anything to us. He doesn't have any reason why he needs to come clean. That's what a villain would do. Oh, I'll explain everything. And then he'll come out and be like, you know what? I'm not going to explain nothing. I'm out of here. And that's pretty much what we had tonight from Randy Orton, but in a very slow, very methodical, very, very dramatic sequence of events, which involved very little talking and all body language. And nobody looks like Randy Orton. When you think evil and you look into the eyes of a Randy Orton, that's what you see, man. It's just 100% believable. He's the nicest guy in the world. But there's just something in Randy Orton's eyes that just says evil bastard. And even when he's trying to come off as sympathetic and remorseful and maybe a little bit regretful, you can see he's just a giant prick. And it's all in his eyes, and it's beautiful. And that is a skill that you can't teach. Telling the story with your eyes and barely saying a word. Awesome. What was awful was having to hear Jerry the King Lawler talking about how appalled he was at the actions of Randy Orton. Jerry the King Lawler was awful tonight. He was all over the place, and a lot of the shit he said was absolutely ridiculous. I found myself rolling my eyes a number of times based off of the King's commentary, and it just, as always, it is not what it was 20 years ago. And his jokes are dated. He's trying to do simple one-liners that weren't funny back in the day, and he's blowing the punchline nowadays, so it's not even coming out right, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, oh, doesn't everybody know the definition of stupidity is when you repeat doing the same thing twice and not getting the different... No, that's the definition of insanity, and he was corrected on air by... just come on. Get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. He's worse than JR at this point. And that's not a knock at JR, but JR has not even been able to remember people's names over in AEW. And I would rather have JR back, hands down. So this went on. Randy Orton got booed for about 10 to maybe 15 minutes on Monday Night Raw, and it was great. They then talked about Drew McIntyre eliminating Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble and announced the triple threat main event for the evening, which already just took me out of it. I'm like, this is a stupid main event. I don't understand what's happening here. As I told you guys earlier, I assumed it was going to be either Seth Rollins or Bobby Lashley, and boy, would I be wrong. Liv Morgan defeated Lana in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And then we had the return of Ruby Riott. WWE kept wanting to give props to the crowd for coming out to the show tonight. And I have to give props too. If you are a fan of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, if you're a Sledgehead from Utah, and you were in Salt Lake City and you braved the blizzard to go sit through Monday Night Raw tonight, God bless you, man. You're a super fan. Because considering the amount of times Monday Night Raw has been a letdown, for you to brave the elements and put yourself in that situation, knowing you might be bored to sleep, good for you, man. And you were rewarded with a half-decent show. And I'm sure in a live atmosphere it was way better than how we perceived it at home. But at the end of the day, they still got the show they got, which was a show including the next segment, which involved Mojo the Bozo Rowley, the 24/7, hey, look at me, I'm a clown, I don't give a shit, avocado-colored, gold-plated championship bout. He's going to take on Drew McIntyre, and I'm laughing about it. First of all, I'm like, is a WWE 24/7 retard title, is this a matchup for this title belt? Because I hope Drew McIntyre wins the championship and then wipes his nose with it and throws it in the trash. Because that's where that belt belongs. This was not a title match, apparently. But he was going to have this match with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre felt it was more important to talk to us. So he told Mojo the Bozo to wait there in the corner, which he did, like a bozo, which is why we call him that. And went on and on and on about taking out Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar attacking him from behind last week and doing what Drew McIntyre does nowadays, which is giving a very good babyface promo, getting the crowd on his side. He told Mojo the Bozo, don't you worry, I'm going to take care of you in just 3 seconds as soon as I'm done with my little promo here. He said that he knows Brock Lesnar is big and he knows Brock Lesnar is fast, but he himself is just as big as and as fast as Brock Lesnar, and the sexy Scotsman has the secret weapon of the Claymore kick, and he's going to kick Brock Lesnar's oversized head off at WrestleMania and win the championship. McIntyre turned around and was like, oh, I forgot about you, bozo. And then told the referee to start the match. The bell rings. He hits a Claymore kick. Mojo the Bozo is out of here. 1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking to myself, how much of an idiot did they make this cat look like? Not only did they give him that avocado 24/7 retard belt, they made him stand there. They made him stand there for the entirety of Drew's little rampage, and you look like an idiot. Because you can't, for 1 minute, have this guy, Mojo the Bozo, saying, I'm going to bring respect to this championship. I'm going to change it around here. I'm going to be taken seriously. This belt is going to mean something. And then go out there and have him do shit like this. Losing in what probably amounted to be 3 seconds, exactly as Drew McIntyre predicted before this matchup even began. And then to be disrespected just right off the bat. Oh, I forgot you were here, Mojo the Bozo Rowley. So what good is Mojo Rowley's new push? They're pushing him. They gave him this stupid belt. They gave him some ridiculous partner that I forgot his name and it's not even worth remembering. And what good is it? This guy didn't get in there and help. He was no good to Mojo the Bozo. We could just call this guy Mojo the Bozo and the Bozo. What a waste of our fucking time. And how stupid does it make the guy look? Come on. Yeah, you're going to respect this belt. I'm going to bring this to this belt. I'm going to bring that to this belt. You know what you're bringing? The same shit everybody else brought to this belt. It's nothing but a joke. It's ridiculous. If I held that championship and they said, you know what, Mr. Nightmare, we're going to make you the 24/7 championship, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm out. I'm out. Give me my release tomorrow. I'm out. She's not going to make a fucking joke of me. Ridiculous. While I don't mind Drew McIntyre easily getting the win in this scenario, come on. Was it really that necessary? You could have just as easily had McIntyre come out and cut a promo and leave. It would have been just as effective. And we wouldn't have had to see the Bozos at all. The Bozo Brothers. Ridiculous. 6-man elimination tag team matchup. The Authors of Pain and Buddy Murphy, one half of the tag team champions, take on Kevin Owens and the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders. And this was an excellent match. There was very confusing moments at times at the beginning because I just don't with Seth Rollins on the outside, I don't understand why people allow the outside manager and stuff to really draw their attention away from their matchup. I mean, you're a professional wrestler. If somebody has a manager, you should be automatically trained to kind of just ignore that guy unless he gets in the ring. But when you go out there and you get your head freaking stomped because you're beating up guys on the outside, and then out comes the little Seth Rollins and you get your head stomped, curb stomped into the concrete, you find yourself getting eliminated first, like one half of the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders. I think it was Eric that got eliminated first. And now that's okay, because this was just a bonehead move. He got caught on the outside. Seth Rollins hit him, and he ended up suffering for it. But the other Viking Raider Warrior Raider, Ivar, eliminated himself from this matchup because he threw himself at one of the Authors of Pain, I believe, and ended up dislocating his shoulder by ramming into the LED wall, which was a bonehead move, which makes him look kind of stupid. Guy got himself eliminated from the matchup. Okay, fine. This leaves Kevin Owens against all odds, 1 versus 3. So you automatically assume that they're going to just swallow him up and it's over for Kevin Owens. I also maybe assumed we would see Samoa Joe come out of nowhere and assist Kevin Owens in getting over on Seth Rollins and the disciples of the dipshit. But that was not the case. But what we did get was a great remainder. This whole entire matchup was very entertaining, even when the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders were in it. But it really took a whole new life of its own when Kevin Owens was left alone to take on the entirety of Seth Rollins' Goon Squad. And it was great. He was beaten to death and still found a way to overcome the odds, get the better of Buddy Murphy, and eliminate him from this matchup with a pop-up powerbomb after getting everybody cleared on the outside. Then he would take out Razor of the Authors of Pain, being left alone with Akam, and he would only win thanks to the assistance of Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens came so close to single-handedly taking out everything Seth Rollins was throwing at him this evening, but just couldn't get the job done thanks to that weaselly little Monday Night Meshuggah on the outside, sticking his giant little nose in where it doesn't belong. But this was brilliant. This was very well done. It makes Kevin Owens look great, even though he comes out with a loss. Any normal person would lose against 3 other people, so that doesn't look bad. And it also made everybody else in the matchup look great. We had a lot of great spots during the matchup. It was very entertaining, and it's not something we say very often about a 6-man. Going into this matchup, I'm going, oh, great, another 6-man. Well, they made an elimination just, I guess, to make it feel different. Once in a while, you got to shake it up a little bit. And plus, they needed to make time for the commercial breaks to fit in very nicely. But it was very well done. It was almost 20-plus minutes long, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Very well done. Props off to everybody. This is one of the 2 good angles on this show. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this progresses. Who is Kevin Owens going to get besides Samoa Joe to help him on his quest to take down Seth Rollins and everybody? It's very interesting. And this matchup, although in the onset I wasn't looking forward to it, they pulled me in. And this was a great matchup. An excellent effort by all guys involved. And we don't say that very often when we're talking about Monday Night Raw. But we go back to the backstage area. Ricochet's back there with Charlie Caruso, and he's going to give us one of the most underwhelming, one of the most boring promos I have ever heard. He's talking about chasing his championship dreams. He's been chasing it since he's 14 years old. He sounded a little bit to me like he was under the weather like I have been recently, like he had a little bit of a cold or something, maybe sounded a little nasal. He said he wasn't as big or as strong as Lashley and doesn't have a backup crew like Seth Rollins, but tonight means everything to him, and this was just a really bad promo. Really bad. It almost felt like he had no energy while he was giving the promo, like he was trying so hard to remember his lines that he forgot to bring his charisma with him. I don't know. Aleister Black comes out, has a quick squash match, as could be expected, and you know what? With Aleister Black, that's kind of how you have to book him. Because every match should be pretty quick. With that Black Mass kick being able to stop a man dead in his tracks at any moment, as soon as he unleashes it, the match should be over. It's how they booked him in NXT to get him to the point where he was giving us longer and more meaningful matches, and it's not a bad way to go about it, and I don't expect them to be doing anything different with him until they finally decide who he's going to be facing at WrestleMania. The only bad thing about this Aleister Black squash match is that it's happening to a guy like Eric Young. Now, a lot of you guys might not be familiar with Eric Young, but if you're an older guy like me, and you used to watch TNA back in its heyday in 2006 and 7, you'll remember Eric Young from Team Canada. You'll remember Eric Young from his teaming with ODB, which was one of the most entertaining and craziest things you will ever see in professional wrestling. You will remember Eric Young coming to NXT. If you're a little bit older, you probably remember this. If you're a fan of NXT, you goddamn sure remember it. Sanity. It's one of the greatest things that NXT seen come through the pipe in a long time. They brought them up to the main roster and immediately killed the entire faction, which the only one still doing anything of relevance anymore is Nikki Cross, now that she's paired with Alexa Bliss, which makes perfect sense, right? The Nikki Cross from Sanity and Alexa Bliss, that's a perfect pairing. Why wouldn't you do that? But the rest of the members of Sanity have all really gone to shit. Except Alexander Wolf ended up in the Imperium. I guess that's a good thing. But really, Eric Young does not deserve to be treated like a glorified jobber. This guy's loaded with charisma. If you put Eric Young in a program with R-Truth, do you know how much we would laugh? And how actually funny it would be? It wouldn't be cheesy. It wouldn't be New Day kind of comedy. It would be really good stuff. Eric Young is nuts. And he's not afraid to show it. And to see him so easily defeated by Aleister Black just hurts my heart a little bit. They really do not know what they have in a guy like Eric Young. You didn't want him to be the Sanity cult leader. You should have allowed him to be Eric Young and go out there and win over the crowd and just be the entertaining guy that he is. Not serving him up like a dead fish to a guy like Aleister Black. Eric Young got popped in the mouth somewhere in the early goings of this matchup and was bleeding almost immediately. It was hard to really see because the match was so quick and the cuts were so fast and the black mass hit and it was over in less than 2 minutes. But it is what it is. Poor Eric Young. That's all I have to say about that. Let's move on. They talked about Humberto Carrillo taking out Andrade with that hammerlock DDT into the concrete, which we all know is a facade for the reason why he's out, which is really the violation for the wellness policy. We still don't know, or at least I still don't know, because I don't really care. I don't go digging in all the rumors and all that shit. I don't really care all that much. But Andrade's been suspended for 30 days. So we have Humberto Carrillo come out there. And he's going to have a matchup with somebody that he didn't know he was going to have, I guess. But Zelina Vega comes out, and along with her comes Angel Garza. Angel Garza is from NXT. He is a former Cruiserweight champion. He just recently lost the Cruiserweight title. And I was surprised when that happened. But now it sort of makes sense. They had maybe this plan in play. I don't know. I don't think this was really the plan. If this was the plan, I have to definitely give them credit. But I don't want to go all out there and give them 100% credit with what was about to take place between Garza and Rey Mysterio, because it feels like this sort of just kind of happened because Andrade was not around. It's quite possible that if Andrade didn't get suspended, we would have just been seeing Andrade versus Humberto for the 100th time this week. However, with Andrade being out, it forces them to do something a little bit outside the box and bringing in Angel Garza, who happens to be the cousin of Humberto Carrillo. Now, I also do not know if that's 100% factual. It is not the first time the WWE would make up some sort of a family relationship existing between two competitors to make everything feel more meaningful, but I have to do more research on that. I don't see why they couldn't be related. It's definitely a possibility, but the WWE wants us to believe that these guys are primos. So fine, these guys are cousins, and we'll go with that. And it does immediately bring a whole new intriguing level to the entirety of what's going on with Humberto. Angel Garza is greater than Humberto Carrillo on his best day. Angel Garza is fantastic. He's really great. And he showcased that tonight in what we got. First of all, they had Humberto Carrillo facing Angel Garza, which was not an actual matchup. This ended up being just a way to get rid of Humberto Angel Garza hit him with the hammerlock DDT, was going to hit him with the hammerlock DDT, which brought out Rey Mysterio, which set up the match between Angel and Mysterio, which was great. This was a really good match. It was really refreshing. Rey Mysterio was kind of on his game tonight. The only thing I don't agree with here is the fact that Rey Mysterio won via disqualification. Now, I know it's a disqualification, but first of all, does that qualify as a disqualification? I'm not sure if I've ever seen that be called a disqualification. If you hit somebody with a DDT on the outside in a regular matchup, don't you just go back in the ring and then the other guy would subsequently get counted out? Does that really necessitate a disqualification? You didn't necessarily use a foreign object per se. Maybe we're nitpicking there, but I call it the way I see it. I didn't expect that to be called a DQ for some reason. Maybe that's just me. But I feel like Angel Garza needed to win here. For what reason are we protecting the legacy and the push of Rey Mysterio right now? Shouldn't he be putting over the younger guys? This is some of the same type of mistakes you made with Humberto Carrillo, and I don't want to see that mistake made again. Carrillo came in, you put him against guys like AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, and yeah, he was putting on great matches, but the guy was losing everything. And while this was a disqualification, and it does kind of help to build some heat around Garza, you want the guy to be looked at as a winner. And I think a better way to get people to hate Angel Garza would have been to have him beat Rey Mysterio clean in the ring without Zelina Vega's involvement. Show the world that this guy means business, that he's a badass, so that when you do put him up against Carrillo, we will actually feel like he's a threat, an even bigger threat than what we've seen tonight. But Rey Mysterio versus Angel Garza was an excellent matchup. Garza, of course, did his little Chippendale stripper moment where he ripped off his full-length tights to reveal his little, under trunks to be all Latino and sexy. And while we're talking about Latinos, why? Why is it just a necessity for the WWE to have the Latinos fight the Latinos all the time? Oh, we're going to have Angel Garza come to the Monday Night Raw this week. What do? Have him wrestle Rey. But first we'll have him fight with Humberto, because let's just get all the Latino guys in one segment and out of the way. Can we have the Latin guys fight people of any other ethnicities at all? Like maybe just at least once is all I'm asking. Maybe an Angel Garza versus Aleister Black. No, they'll squash him in seconds with an Aleister Black. But you understand what I'm saying. Give me these guys outside of fighting each other. Like Latinos can't all get along. Why not group them all together after all this? We've seen them fighting each other for so often. Why not group them together as a faction? LWO style. And then you have them taking on guys like, Owens and the Viking Raiders and all that stuff. We gotta see them fighting amongst themselves all the time. Typical WWE shit. Angel Garza hits Rey Mysterio with the DDT outside the ring into the concrete, gets disqualified. The officials check on Mysterio as Garza left with Zelina Vega smirking the whole while, eating it up from the crowd. And Angel Garza's a star, man. If they are not careful, they will ruin this like they ruin everything else. But they have something here. Nurture it, care for it, go carefully forward and do something with it. Obviously, now you can have Humberto and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega, and now we can, at the very least, have a new tag team around here. And we won't have to keep seeing Andrade in the same matches over and over again. It's something that I'd be into. Unlike seeing Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair comes out for this promo. Not something I'm very into seeing to begin with. And I don't understand why they're rushing. Why are they rushing? They have so much time before WrestleMania that there is no need to be pushing all this shit right now. It's fine with me if Charlotte was not on the show this week or even next week. Let Charlotte take a couple of weeks off and think about it like she said she was going to do. She didn't say she was going to be back next week and tell us. She just said, oh, she's going to think about it. She's going to take her time. And what did I say last week? Allow her to have this stipulation until we get through with the Elimination Chamber. Maybe you have a match with Bayley versus somebody. You have Becky versus Asuka again on the pipeline. So maybe the options may change by the time we get to WrestleMania. Make that a thing. Have her even say that. So we as fans think, oh, you know what? Maybe it will change. Who's to say that Becky's going to make it all the way to WrestleMania? Who's to say Bayley's going to be the champion by the time we get to April? We don't know these things. It's only fucking February. We have shows in between that are going to take place. By automatically jumping forward and targeting everything towards WrestleMania, why are we going to believe you're going to change anything until then? Is Rhea Ripley going to lose the championship at NXT TakeOver Portland? Do you have any reason to believe that now? Becky and Bayley, do you care going forward? You know they're going to be in the WrestleMania main events. Are they going to lose their titles on the way? No, they're not. Way to take all the intrigue out. Stupid. I don't agree with it. And when we think about it in retrospect, all it's going to do is damage Rhea Ripley. Because I have no bone in my body that believes they will put Rhea Ripley over Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Charlotte had to lose last year because Becky Lynch. They're not going to do it again to her. They love her way too much. Way too much. Her having this promo tonight is evidence of that. She should have very easily gone away for a while. We didn't need to see this. But this is what she did, and she came out and she started to address the crowd. As we said at the beginning of this show, she took a dump all over the champions and said she doesn't have time for any of that anymore. And then the crowd jumped the gun. Started chanting for Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair said, yes, I have love for NXT, just like NXT has love for their queen. And then all of a sudden, Rhea Ripley comes out. Before Charlotte makes the challenge, before Charlotte even mentions the girl's name, Rhea Ripley jumps the gun, comes out and pretty much lays down the challenge to Charlotte Flair. And then the announce team wants to tell us, oh, we'll tune into NXT Wednesday so that you can get the results of Charlotte's answer. She's going to answer Rhea Ripley on NXT, and the only thing I hope to see is Bianca Belair come out there and whip her in the face with that ponytail and be like, listen, you ain't the queen of shit around here. I'm down with that. Outside of that, I don't care very much. Sarah Schreiber was in the back with Bobby Lashley asking about his battle plan tonight. Lana said it doesn't matter that his wife lost her match. He's going to win his match, and they're going to celebrate tonight when he beats both Rollins and Ricochet at the same time. Lashley said he's going to give us a spoiler, calling out Paul Heyman, making fun of Paul Heyman. Said that he was going to defeat Brock Lesnar and go to WrestleMania as champion. So even then, when he put this little caveat and taking a little bit of a dig at Paul Heyman, I'm like, all right, Bobby Lashley's going to win this matchup. We get an unnecessary women's singles matchup. Asuka, one half of the women's tag team champions, versus Natalya. Not that we haven't seen this already 100 times, but this match got mildly interesting because it felt kind of real. It looked like things got kind of heated in this matchup. At one point, Natalya screaming in Asuka's face, "You want to shoot with me, bitch?" When you say that in pro wrestling, that means, we're going to fight for real right now. So I don't know if she did that just for the camera or for the effect. Things definitely got very physical. Probably the most physical I've seen between these two ladies. And they've fought so much. Asuka kicked Natty in the face so hard it left a mark. And they were really throwing elbows and really landing haymakers for the second half of this match. There was something really, really intense there. It almost felt real, which is crazy. And while this was unnecessary, I enjoyed this match. I thought this match was fucking intense. Kind of scary at times. Because when things take that little bit of reality, it definitely draws you in a little bit more. Something went down in that matchup. I want to actually go back and watch it again to see if I could spot where it really happened. Because somewhere along the lines, a switch got flipped in both of these girls. And it went like next level. Now, Asuka defeats Natalya here. And the only thing that I can hope happens is that this is somehow going to lead to maybe at WrestleMania, the Women's Tag Team Championships being defended, and you have Asuka and Kairi taking on Natalya and Beth Phoenix in a regular tag team match. Don't add the Iconics and this team and that team. Just one team versus the other. The Divas of Doom, Beth Phoenix and Natty, versus Asuka and Kairi Sane. Fine. Let's do it. You got enough time. You can bring Beth Phoenix back. You got Edge back. They're doing their thing. Let's do that. Let's do that. It'll be interesting. It'll be something for the tag team division of the women. And it'll be meaningful. You got Beth Phoenix back in there. You could have started it right here. Now, I don't know just how bad this incident between Natty and Asuka is. Hopefully they, had it all blown over by the end of the night, if it really did get as nasty as it seemed. But after this match, Asuka, I guess, called out Becky Lynch, because all I heard was Becky Lynch, and then she screamed in Japanese. So that's what I think she said, because out comes Becky Lynch wearing a pair of those weird looking, like, 8-bit sunglasses or whatever the hell they are. Asuka obviously wants another shot at the champion. Becky's like, why would I fight you? I fought you last time and it gave me superpowers. I don't know what that meant. And Becky keeps doing all this when she talks, and I don't get that. Like, what are you, part horse? I certainly don't think so. You don't look like a horse. You're a beautiful woman. Like, I don't know what all the gum action is about. You chewing gum? Spit it out. Smack it away like Mr. Perfect. Anyway, they had a little bit of a back and forth. Becky Lynch accepts this matchup with Asuka, and this matchup is going to happen not at the next pay-per-view, not at the Super Showdown, obviously, because it's in Saudi Arabia, but next week on Monday Night Raw. So who the hell knows where they're going with this? Like I said, maybe they're building this Natty, Beth Phoenix thing. Maybe Asuka's going to get her match and Natalya's going to cost her the match. Or Beth Phoenix will come out and attack Asuka because of what happened this week. I don't know. I guess we'll have to tune in and find out. Hopefully it's as interesting as I just came up with. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat of my expectations, which is usually what happens. Just like when they announced things like Goldberg coming back to SmackDown. Yay! I am already looking forward to Friday, which has firmly taken place as the worst wrestling show on the planet. And now they're bringing back Goldberg. To do what? To wrestle at the Super Showdown, obviously. Who do they have? Who do they have that would possibly maybe wrestle Goldberg? Maybe Braun Strowman, the new Intercontinental Champion? Maybe. Oh no, maybe it's going to be Roman Reigns. Roman will get a victory over Goldberg in the desert. Nobody will give a shit. Then the main event triple threat matchup. Ricochet defeating Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. I don't get it. This match wasn't that bad, really, and Ricochet looked pretty good. He got a few good spots in on Bobby Lashley, especially leading towards the finish where he hit the 630 splash and got the pinfall for the win. The best part about this match was after the 3 count, when Brock Lesnar made a beeline and just dashed down to the ring like a rocket car and hit Ricochet with an F5 that he will surely be feeling for days. The problem here is that the crowd reaction was mainly positive when Brock Lesnar attacked Ricochet, and don't you think the crowd should be chanting for the little guy, the underdog in this scenario? People were more than happy to see Brock Lesnar eat Ricochet for lunch tonight, and I feel like that's going to be much more of the same when he gets to face the Beast at the Super Showdown. For the first time in history on this show, we're going to say a sentence right now that might shock you. I would have preferred Bobby Lashley in this scenario. Seth Rollins is right now the tag team title holder with Buddy Murphy. It doesn't really make sense to be giving him a championship opportunity right now, especially with WrestleMania season coming and Brock Lesnar having this championship matchup with Drew McIntyre. Is Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre a bigger draw than Brock Lesnar? Hell no. Hell no. I do not want to see Seth Rollins as the WWE champion versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Right now, everything about that match is exactly the way it should be, and it doesn't need to be changed. So this stupid matchup in the Super Showdown that we are going to get with Ricochet is meaningless, which rendered this main event pretty much meaningless, which means that going forward with this whole entire story between Ricochet and Brock Lesnar before we get to Super Showdown is all going to be very, very pointless and meaningless. Hopefully they do their best to make it somewhat interesting, and tonight's Monday Night Raw was somewhat interesting. Could it be better? Hell yes. Miles and miles better. Then we wouldn't have to be doing things like giving out poop hammers, which, there you go. I don't know why it froze. We're going to have to do that again. Let's try that again. Like giving out poop hammers, like this one, to people like Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley and Ruby Riott and anybody else you guys feel deserves the poop hammer. Let me know who you think you should be hitting the poop hammer with, as you guys always do, down in the comments section below. Thank you guys for joining me for another edition of the Monday Night Raw review. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up if you had a good time here with us tonight. If you laughed, if you cried, if I made you understand why this show might not have been as good as you thought it was. Now that's not fair, because the show was good, but it still had lots of mistakes, which is why we are here to point out everything wrong with each and every episode of wrestling that anybody wants to throw at you. I am your center point. I am the guy that makes you feel good about it, because wrestling sometimes makes you feel bad about being a wrestling fan, so we can all converge here. Like the big family, we are growing one subscriber at a time and let it all out. So I urge you guys to subscribe right now if you had a good time as well, and become one of the over 2,000 plus that know when you want your wrestling reviews and rants and news bullshit free and full of fun and entertainment. Sledgehammer TV is the place to be. Don't forget to check out everything else we have on this channel, which will be linked in the annotations up above, and as always on the main page for the Sledgehammer TV YouTube channel. If you want, you could download us on Spotify, on Stitcher Radio, on iTunes, and also on Podbean. The audio uploads do not come out as quickly as they should. I don't know, I have been having problems with my RSS feed, but we're getting all of that under control. But the review always debuts here first on YouTube. But if you want to take us with you on the go, we are available on all audio platforms as well. Just a reminder for any of you guys that want to catch us on the go. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.